Thank you so much for joining us today. And welcome to Career Launchpad, and which is hosted by us, DaSSA. And so I will just quickly tell everyone like what is DaSSA because I think this is like the first event with Coursera. So just to have like a interactive thing, like how many of you are like from Coursera? Well, I think we have a lot of people start joining us from Coursera, and that's a great thing. And we hope that you like this event. And yeah, so today's agenda is like first I will just introduce like what is DASA and our team members because we recently like built a new team, and I'm really excited to let you guys know like who we are. And then we have like two speakers coming in today. We have Akhilesh and Pranjal, and we will have like a Q&A section as well, like followed by their like introduction and everything, like after the session. So so what is DASA? Like we are the official student-led organization for MSDS program at CU Boulder. We form like a bridge between like students, faculty, and industry, and we do our best to connect you guys with industry people and organize some events which are like fun, interactive, and like hackathons are social events. And we know that Coursera people are not able to join us like offline, but we do have like planned a lot of events for you guys as well. So we are excited for you, and let's have our like first event for the fall. Yeah. So these are like some of the events that we have held like in the past, as you can see, like going on hike and like hackathons. And recently we had like a great collaboration with HackCU where we have like datathon and a lot of speakers were coming in. And from that only we had this inspiration to host this event. And we had like our field day where we were like just having a lot of fun. And yeah, so we will keep on having a lot of events. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So before I jump in, I'll quickly introduce our new DASA team for you guys. So as Sukriti already informed you, DASA is a Data Science Student Association for MSG students. We organize events, career events, skill events, networking events, and very much various supported DSML community at DCU Boulder. So our current DASA team is chair, that is Sukriti Sehgal, vice chair, that is Suprita Kulkarni, treasurer, that is me, Sakshi, professional development chairs, that is Vikas Babu and Suraj Nair, and marketing chair is Dhyanada Bhosle. We are really happy to have you all here and hope this session is useful and practical for you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would now gladly invite our first speaker of the day, that is Akhilesh P. He's a master's data science. He's graduated from California Graduate University, California, and he's working as a senior data analyst lead. So his work focuses on building data-driven solutions that combine analytics and machine learning and automation to solve real-world challenges. Thank you, Akhilesh, for being here, and it's now.
All right, thank you. Can you guys hear me? Hello. All right,
Yeah,
all right. Okay, so hi everyone, and thanks for inviting me over here for this session. It's been great. It's really a great opportunity to share some of the learning curves and experiences that I have got over the time being in the US. I'm an international student as well, so I think from the crowd, most of us can relate how the journey can be and how difficult it is with the market. So I would like to maybe start presenting my screen over here, and then if I can take over.
yeah, sure.
Great. Just reconfirm if you guys can see the presentation.
Yes, yes,
Perfect, perfect. So, hi everyone. And again, as I said, thanks to the Data Science Student Association at the University of Colorado Boulder for inviting me to speak today. Um, it's a great opportunity. So let me introduce myself. My name is Akhilesh, and I'm a data analyst. I'm currently working as a senior data analyst at Mercedes-Benz, located down in California. So my day-to-day activities lead in working heavily across data engineering, automation, and creating AI dashboards and having enterprise analytics. So today I'll be walking you through on how you can navigate the modern world of data and AI, what roles exist, what skills maybe matter, and how to grow your career in 2025 and beyond, right? So before that, I'm just going to keep a short bio about me and about the work I do, how my journey was in the US, being an international student, uh, where did I do my internships, and so that we can all connect and maybe speak more about it. So about my work, so as I said, I'm currently working as a senior data analyst. Some of the day-to-day operations that I do is manage end-to-end data operations. So I lead a small team of analysts and interns. I supervise an analytics projects from data ingestions and pipelining, monitoring to model validation and dashboard deployments. So on the technical side of my work, I work directly with our engineering squads to implement data pipelines, Azure, Fabric, and SAP, optimizing the flow of telematics data. So another part of my role that I find interesting is some of the non-technical aspect of it. So I set weekly priorities, review deliverables, and perform quality checks and provide guidances on technical tasks like DAX optimizations from Power BI or, and do whatever is the necessary requirements given by the team. So yeah, so that's about me, and that's a short bio about what I do. And here's something that we will be covering today, and with the amount of short span of time that we have. So I think I did give a quiet bio about me, but if you guys want to connect, I'm open to LinkedIn, so you guys can connect with me over there. I'm also going to talk about how the route map was for me. What challenges did I face being an international student? And it's quite a challenge, right? And then I'm going to get into the technicalities of understanding how the data ecosystem works in a generic manner from all organizations and how I can navigate, maybe help you guys apply for jobs in the different domains of data. And something about then I would maybe give a breakdown of the data roles that exists and what kind of roles that maybe you guys can apply to being a fresher or with maybe 1 to 2 years of experience. And then maybe I'm gonna get into some terms that you guys might have not heard back in grad school, uh, which maybe you might learn these skills over the work. And I think if you guys have some time, you might want to start learning those. Okay, let's get started. So I came to the US in fall 2023. I did my master's in data science and analytics from Claremont Graduate University. Shortly, I just call it CGU. Um, so as we all have been on the face, it's great. We should all be through this journey and like it's face that mature decisions and like hustle every day with end-to-end goals that we need to meet. So I think from day one, I knew that the journey wouldn't be easy. So balancing studies, finding opportunities, understanding the system, and building a network, right? So during my program, I took on multiple roles to support myself financially and also gain experience. So the first challenge was finding an on-campus job, as we all know, right? So it's indeed quite a challenge. Some of us might have to work in like something in a non-technical role or a technical role, which is okay, and which is a good start. So I come from a university's ecosystem where we have 7 colleges, and my college was part of these 7 colleges. So basically, as a student, I had the perks of working on campus in any of these 7 colleges. So my first job was starting with research assistant at Keck Graduate Institute, which is one of the Claremont colleges. I That was the first job in the entire US market experience that I could cap and understand how data is crucial for understanding in the field of life science and bio, how the lab testing works, how your numbers gets fine-tuned for the lab numbers, and more to that. And then going forward in my second semester, I got an offer from my college's department to work with admissions of my department. That was where I could collaborate and also connect with a lot of international students and understand how to sell a particular point of view, and then maybe convince them to come into CGU and get a program done. So that taught me on how to like maybe improve your communication. And that's quite important when we work full time, right? So it's all a learning curve. And then going forward, I got an offer from the Career and Professional Development Office. I got an offer working as part of the data analyst and social media manager. So that job again focused morely into, creating numbers with Excel, and then understanding how you communicate data and numbers to a person and make them understand if that person is completely too non-technical. So that is an important thing. And now comes like the interesting part where all of us have a main start to our career, that is internships. Internships is not an easy game. The market is rough. I understand that because that's a common term. When anyone comes to the US, we are anxious about understanding how internships work through. So I started my internship, I think, after my second semester. It was with a healthcare company called as Memorial Care. So it was good. I found it through a referral, obviously, and through my networks, and that's how you're supposed to go about it. So I learned about how data is crucial in the field of healthcare industries, and what are the privacy problems that they face. How data is really crucial in making decisions about certain business related decisions that they do. And then that went really well for about 3 months. That I did that during the summer break. And then at the end of my third semester, that is at winter 2024, during that break, I joined a nonprofit, which is called as Parents Anonymous. They are majorly into public health. Uh, so they are a nonprofit, right? So it's a small scale industry. So they had an employee strength of literally maybe up to 120, 130 people, which is still okay. And I was part of the research and development there, where I had been starting to work as a data analyst intern. Um, that company taught a lot of groundwork realities to me as to how a data analyst operates, and how does this really work. So, funny or not, I think when we talk about data analyst, we might generally think about SQL or Python. These are the tech stacks that we are supposed to know. But I think you need to know the foundation of it, that's called as Excel. Excel is really pivotable in this role. So I underestimated Excel like anything. So I just thought it's majorly going to be into data entries, or just processing data. But there's more to it. The automation that you do in Python, you can actually do that in Excel. So first step of advice, maybe just go through advanced Excel. Not all of us know the capability of Excel. So that company thought a lot about it. I could contribute a lot to that firm. And then I think in spring 2025, which was my last semester, I started part-time with them. I came out of the internship, they converted me to part-time. And because of the limitation that I couldn't work full-time, I had to do a part-time work because I was still under grad school. So that went really well. Then I hustled for a bit, completed my studies, graduated in May 2025. And then here I am working currently at Mercedes-Benz. And it's been, I think, about 6 months now. And that's something that I have to update in my profile. So, yes. And great. So this is all about me. And you guys can forget me and my profile right now, and let's focus on uh, how, like, internally, what kind of data terms that you might need to know in your career. Or I understand all of you are doing masters, so you guys are proficient with certain terms. Maybe you guys are better than me, but it's just that the job market that's keeping us, limited. But the way I visualize data is kind of maybe different with the way everyone sees it. So everyone has their own perspective of seeing and understanding what kind of jobs you need to apply to. So with the organizations that I worked, let's say back in my country or like over here, I've seen a genuine connection of data, right? So the foundation is your data source. Where does it come from? Where does the data come from? What system are they using, right? So obviously, the first thing that would come to your mind is SQL. You need to know MySQL about it, as to how do you want to like do any transformational loading, or you want to create some columns, or you want to like do some data manipulations into it. Or you might want to know about ERP systems like SAP, or some CRM tools, or any system that generates data inside a particular company that you're going to work about. So you might want to understand, let's say you're applying to Parents Anonymous for a position. So you might want to understand what is the tech stack that they want to be using so that during the interview when you give it, I think that's really important for you to understand so that you have a point to impress them with it and say that, hey, I know your architecture, I know this is what you've been working on. I connected with an employee, but what do I do? Right? So that's one. Second is ingestion layer. Uh, so I think this is where a role of a data engineer comes into the picture. So we have like batch ingestion. So where we use ETL that run on a schedule or real-time investigation using technologies like Kafka or event hubs, right? You guys might have heard about Apache Airflow. Uh, it's really important. It's really important that you guys may want to like understand each of these sectors because when I was in grad school, I got to learn this tool, but we won't remember exactly whatever we learned. So I think since you guys are still not late and most of you haven't graduated yet, so maybe give a little focus on how data warehouses and data lake houses work. And that is the next step I'm going into, a little more deeper in data engineering. That is something relevant to storage layer. So once the data is ingested, it is stored in a data lake or data warehouse. So think of it as like the company's main database for analytics where historical and current data lives, right? So this term historical data is very important. You might want to understand what it is about. It's just nothing but past data of the firm that's there. So there's a lot of work that goes into data engineering. So here, the first two steps, that is data sources, you might want to get jobs like database administrator or like MySQL developer. There are positions like that into it. And then in data engineering, it's not easy to get into them straightforwardly, to be honest, because they expect some kind of an experience or a portfolio that needs to be developed, right? Me having a team under me, hiring a data engineer was the most like tremendous waste of time that I did because uh, it was really difficult to understand as to what kind of person I need because they had given me a requirements for a project to say, hey, we need to complete this type. The architecture needs to be set in this way. But if I don't get a candidate who does not know anything and in his resume he just lies, I'm gonna like be taking the wrong person, right? So you guys may want to focus on data engineering. That's a really, really cool concept. And then transformation layer. So here is something once the data is validated, once the data is, stored in the warehouse or the lake house, we get it into the transformation layer. So this is where the data becomes more clean, like structured, reliable, and analytics ready, right? So you clean it, you model it, you validate it. So half of the time when I was been working as an intern or let's say in my full-time role, half of my time goes in understanding the data. Like it's not like in college we do a small project or in grad school we do a small project and might get like a data set of 1,000 entries. That's not the case. If when you go to a real based scenario, you're gonna have like data entries that's booming to maybe 2 sheets or maybe like I don't know, like 10,000 to 20,000 entries. So it's not practically possible to go in Excel, go through each of these columns and understand what is the wrong data, right? There are two ways to go about it. You can either do that in Excel, turn on filters and check what's happening and what are the data that is unnecessary or needs to be pivoted to make that decision go better, or there is Python, which I'm sure all of us know how to code in Python. And let's face the fact, ChatGPT, right? There's no like shame in accepting the fact that we all like accept the codes from ChatGPT. It's become a normalized trend, which is okay. But I would just be honest, in colleges, we might upload files and then we might get the data and then that's fine. But you're not maybe supposed to do that in organizations because that shows privacy concerns, right? When you upload your data, it gets into the public where people can maybe access it, or it goes into the server of something else. And that data, what you uploaded, is just not supposed to be happening that way. Maybe you can feed ChatGPT about how the logic is behind it, but please don't upload data sets to it. Uh, but yes, as I was coming back to the point, uh, data cleaning. So I think out of the entire process of transformation, we spend about 95% to 96% of the time in data cleaning, because every time we process data, we do the modeling for it. The model does not give us the accurate results, or let's say that particular accuracy that we're expecting. We need to push it back to cleaning again and understand why that's happening, right? And then the last step is validation, which is okay. You just validate and you do a final quality check if everything is okay. Uh, and then comes the interesting part, analytics layer, where all of our skills come into the picture, right? Let's say I'm assuming all of us are doing or have done masters in data science and analytics or something relevant to IT. So I think being a data analyst is more than what people talk about. Like, you just need to know databases and SQL. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes into our mind. Python, right? That's like the king of everything. But I think there's more to it, because when I've started working, or when you guys start working completely and you finish 1 year of your work experience, you would understand that it's not easy, right? It's not easy to complete and source data with whatever files you're working on with. So you need to be more creative. So the first four steps that I showed, from data sources to transformation layer, I think you might want to know them properly. Like, not just definitions or theory, you need to know how to implement them, or the different concepts that comes under it, right? So that defines you as a data analyst, point one. The point two is, data analyst, you have to deep dive a little more deeper into it. Uh, there are The last part of being a data analyst is visualization. Like, there are two types of tools that commonly people use, that is Power BI and Tableau, right? And I prefer, and I have seen, I might be wrong, you guys can correct me. I have seen most of the firms using Power BI, because your data set is in a CSV format, which is a Microsoft environment. You code in Azure, and it's more easier to put your dashboards from Power BI, since it's a Microsoft environment. And thereby, people prefer Power BI as a common tool, right? So you know all these, you're great. Just go ahead and apply for data analyst positions, one or two. And a lot of companies have data analytics position like crazy. Like, you just open LinkedIn, or you just go to any company's website, you find data related positions. I know it's not easy as it sounds, but that's the way to go about it, right? And then comes AI layer. So here's an interesting story that I want to say. Like, maybe one of you guys in this group, in this crowd, may be also part of the story that I'm talking about. So I have friends and colleagues who just like wasting their time building LLMs, right? So that process, or that manual work, would have just taken like 5 minutes of your time, and you could have done it. But they like automating that, wasting 30 minutes, not wasting, that's the wrong term to use. They like spending the 30 minutes of time doing that automation, defining that layers, and that would make it easier for the upcoming days, and you can just get that done in 2 minutes. So that's what AI engineers do, right? So you it's kind of interesting. You can, like, if you guys don't know how to develop AI, just play with ChatGPT, get the premium version of it, just play with it and understand what is modeling in it. There are so many parameters that you might want to know. So that's AI layering. And majorly, I don't know if you guys, when you guys do projects, I'm sure most of you would have heard about the term RAG systems, RAG systems, right? So that majorly enhances the automation of tasks and intelligence. And let's say you build a chatbot, and that's built out on an LLM platform. Uh, and that is connected to your company data. Let's say you have your HR employee handbook into your chatbot. So you play with your chatbot with different questions, and you develop that model in such a way that it makes it perfect. You test, and then you validate it. And that's AI level. So here you can apply for positions like ML engineers or AI engineers. I'm just thinking. And yeah, but these are the roles that you can apply to. And then comes governance and security. So none of this works without strong documentation, right? This includes like metadata management or data quality check. So this ensures that data is trustworthy and compliant. So you need to understand what are the rules and regulations that you set for this particular data project to work, or who can access it, who cannot access these particular layers of privacy. And last comes business application. So I can say business analysts kind of work into this picture. All these layers support real business applications, right? Like automated reporting, chatbots, developing co-pilots, This is where data like truly creates business value. Like, let's say you're in a leadership position and you have the power to make a decision and put it over to the higher authorities and say that my data is giving me this number and I think the profit is looking like this, so henceforth so and so, right? Yeah, that's about this technical concept. Um, I'm just going to show you a quick breakdown of whatever we were talking about in the previous slide. That was, like I don't need to be a knowledge whiz over here and make you understand as to why this has been happening, correct? So you know all these roles. I'm sure hundreds of you would have applied on LinkedIn for multiple of these roles, AI engineer, ML engineer, and all that. But do you guys really know what is the exact requirements? Because for each of these roles differs as per the organization's needs. Some of them might label roles like data scientist, but their needs might be just of a data analyst, which confuses folks, right? And some of them might rename employing like positions named as data engineers, but that would be a role of a data scientist, which is well and good for you. Well, if you have learned until the level of data scientist, I don't think you need to worry because you would automatically know how to perform, I think, responsibilities to a data analyst or to a data engineer, because data scientist needs a lot of knowledge and mathematics. And I'm no whiz in it, right? I'm still learning. I'm still all like you, just with some work experience. But data scientists comes with a lot of mathematics and statistics and probability, which I don't think theory is important. We really need to know how to implement it again. So what does a data analyst do, right? So the role focuses majorly on BI tools like dashboards, SQL, data visualization, and supporting business decisions. So from there, you move to being maybe a data science. So I would honestly say that do not try to apply for data scientist positions if you have no experience in the field of data. Start from the scratch, start from the bottom, that is data analyst. Because if you go to most of the companies, they might say that you might either need a PhD degree, that is one criteria, or you might need to have at least 3 years or 4 years of experience in the field of analytics. And that's the case everywhere. So thereby start from data analyst, then go through maybe like growth in your career and become a data scientist. So in the field of data scientist, you work morely with maybe like machine learning, like predictive analysis, sentiment analysis. And then you majorly answer questions like, why did this event happen or what will happen next? You make predictions and outcomes based on these sentences. And above that is machine learning engineer. So while data scientists build models, machine learning engineer majorly focuses on deployment, MLOps, pipelining, monitoring, and scalability, right? So majorly, like just like in software development, we have DevOps, right? Like it's something into the A/B testing, but in data field or in the AI field, we have MLOps and pipelines, which kind of merges with data engineers and ML engineers. But that's something that makes sense to me. Like ML engineers needs to have a lot of responsibility when it comes to data transformations. Uh, and then last but not the least, I think the next one is AI engineer is what I can think. It's a cool role. It's like growing and booming on the top nowadays, is what I can see. Uh, but again, you need to have a lot of experience to get into this role. But some of the companies might hire graduate engineering trainees. I think my company did hire some folks and they were like working in the field of AI, but it's good to know and understand because you can grow faster if you know these skills like in advance. Like I'm sure most of you would already been playing with RAGs and generative AI, and I'm sure the next speaker is maybe going to talk about how generative AI works and what is needed for you to get jobs. He's going to help you maybe in like resume and stuff, but that's something to the next event. So what does an AI engineer do, right? This is AI engineers like work with LLMs, rack systems, prompt engineering, vector databases, and generative AI applications. Like literally, nowadays, like guys like just get paid like to just play and prompt writing with ChatGPT. Like people have those kind of jobs that they do where they develop and train that model to give the better response rate each time you give the same prompt. You can just try that in ChatGPT. You give the same question, each time it would give different responses, but on the same data point. That's nothing but a concept called as synthetic data generation. So that's a concept that you might want to know, and is very booming nowadays because there is a difference between general data and synthetic data. Uh, there are two different things, and you might want to research more of what synthetic data is connected with AI and how you can play with it and maybe create a chatbot out of it. And how do you train a model based on synthetic data that you get? So what I want to say and motivate you guys maybe is I understand the job market is tough. There's like rejections everyone's facing rejections every time they apply. Trust me, I've been there. No one gets a job in the first job application that they put. So no matter where you start, analyst, whether you want to be an analyst or a scientist or an engineer, there's always a clear growing path ahead. And that's the major reason that we've invested so much of time and career into our field. And that's why we have come like cross so much and like we have come into master. So it's definitely going to be worth it, right? So going forward, I'm not sure if you've heard about the term actuarial data. Has anyone heard about this term actuarial data? Because that's something that struck me, I think, 6 months ago. There's a story behind this as well. Uh, so I have been always keen in the field of data from right from my undergrad. Like I've been crazy. I've been doing like crazy researches into it. So, and thereby I choose to do a master's degree and I'm working as a data, which is fine, which anyone can do. But I found this role quite interesting. I mean, it's like, when we think about data carriers, we usually picture what, like analysts or data scientists, right? But actuarial data is like a nick, like where mathematics, statistics, and business and data science all comes together. So you use all these to become an actuarial data analyst or an actuarial data professional. Uh, so majorly, what do they do? They majorly analyze risks, uncertainties, and financial impact. They are the people who like help insurance companies or healthcare organizations and financial institutions in making billion-dollar decisions. And the best part about this role, what I researched is actuarial roles are evolving into highly technical data-driven positions, making it a very exciting career path for everyone who loves numbers, modeling, and decision science. Uh, but yeah, let me walk you through as to what I know because I haven't started completely investigating about what this career is about, but I just thought of putting it to you guys. If one of you guys could maybe or are interested in going through this, maybe one of you can teach me one day as to how this works. Uh, yeah, so some of the responsibilities. So actuarial data professionals sit at the intersection of mathematics, statistics, financial modeling, data science. So the story that I wanted to say about this is I have a friend who works at an insurance company in the States. He's an international student as well. Uh, so I think he started working in that firm for about, I think, 6 months now. And he just got introduced to this term and he's the one who told me about this career. Like they get paid like hefty crazy per annum starting from like 120, 130, right? Which is still good for graduates. Uh, so what I want to say here is that please do like research about it. So he was like clearly telling me that there's a loophole, but there is also a negative point that you need to be like heavily experienced, at least 4 to 5 years of experience. Even I'm not eligible that way, right? So you need to have like 4 to 5 years of experience in proper math. You need to have a drill down knowledge about how mathematics works and in the field of data and AI. And you need to really be professional. When I'm stressing on the point too much, that itself shows that it's just not like how we do machine learning. It's more to it. So yeah. So what do you do being part of an actual data role? So this is majorly for firms into the insurance groups, and I think they're more recession proof, right? So it's more safer if you have a job that way. Uh, I understand it's kind of a entire new career. We all have been focusing in the direction of maybe becoming a business analyst or a data analyst, and we might be figuring out what's the difference between those two. But now there's a third one that is actuarial. You guys want to Google it out and understand what this is about. So my friend works for this firm called as Capital Insurance Group. It's located down in Reno, in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they do sponsor H1Bs for international students. So just a heads up. So if anyone wants to go to the career website, you might find like tons of roles open to actuarial. Uh, and I think he told me his interview experience that was like legit. to an extreme where they were drilling him down with mathematics. Not even Python, they just were asking him mathematical questions. And they just wanted to know if he has any knowledge, and they would just hire him and help him learn and do it. But there's a loophole to this. If you want to get into this in a career path, there's another path, what this employer told us, that there are two types of societies for this actuarial society. So one is for the financial firms. If you want to get into the financial firms, you do this society of actuaries. And then if you want to get into the insurance-based firms, there is casualty actuarial society. So I've noted it down there. So the first society is majorly for life insurance, health, pensions, and finance industries. But the second one is auto insurance, property, casualty, or liability. So let me give you an example of a project of when I spoke to the HR, I mean, it was just a normal conversations that I was networking with. So all these insurance companies have like a premium policy plan that they give, right? So I'm not sure if anyone has done projects in the field of insurance. It's quite interesting, is what I can say. Like, let's say you have a person's biographics data, demographic data, you know what's his age, you know which locality he's from, you know how much he's earning, you know how much he's probably going, when is he going to get retired. So, and he has a medical symptom. What is this premium policy going to be? So the estimation of that policy rate is what actuarial data professionals do. And that's not easy as said. I just told you like the baseline of how things work, but this is how I think actual data professionals process data. It's in a very interesting way. So you guys might want to go to the career website of this company that I talked about. It's called Capital Insurance Group, and then maybe uh, just see what are the requirements that they have. Even and these exams are expensive. I'm not gonna lie. There are like almost about 7 levels of examinations that you might want to do, and that's gonna take almost a year for you to complete. But let's say you finish level one, this company will even take you as a fresher. So that was the loophole I was talking about. So if you have done level one, and they might just take like 2 to 3 rounds of interviews for you, and then maybe uh, take you in, and then say that, okay, you've cracked this examination, so start working. We'll teach you on how does this actual math work, and then you have to keep giving examinations for you to get maybe promoted to a higher level, like actual team lead, or maybe in a director level position. So you succeed in the level of examinations, you succeed in your career in that particular organization too, right? So that's something about this. Uh, Great. So any questions to this? We can talk about it at the end of this event. I'll come to it. And next is something. So these are the terms that we don't come across grad school for sure. If you're doing AI or data, I'm sure you guys know the firm SAP, but I don't know if most of you are aware of using SAP CRM tools. I don't know if any one of you guys have done it, but if you guys have done it, we can maybe have a healthy debate on what you feel about it. But uh, so there are three terms when it comes to SAP. So there is master data management, which is called as MDM, short form, and then there's enterprise data. So SAP is nothing but a backbone system that runs critical business operations for large organizations. So, like, it can be into the field of finance, procurement, or supply chain, or inventory, manufacturing, HR, and much more. So, if you look at the Fortune 500 companies listings, I think almost like 8 or 9 out of 10 are powered by SAP. Um, let's say you get an interview, you get hired. The first step you might want to be interested in doing is settle down and maybe understand how MDM is working at your particular place of work. So there are three types of data that SAP usually does. So one is master data, things like, so under master data, it's you have data like products, customer IDs, or suppliers, or material IDs, and then you have transactional data, where you have like purchases, invoices, manufacturing, sales, and HR transactions. And lastly, you have operational data, which you have day-to-day business activities for that, right? So these are the following, I think, operational terms that you might want to know when it comes to SAP or MDM. So it's important that you guys want to know this, because you might think that no, this is not relevant to my skill, or I just want to work as a data analyst or something like that. But yes, I get it. But there is a better career possible. In fact, I'm working with SAP, but the current work I do, I'm working with SAP so much on my day-to-day basis that any material ID codes that come in, we process it through SAP, and that project is called as S4 HANA. So there's a lot of implementation that goes through it, and they need a lot of manpower for it. AI cannot take on this process. So thereby, you might want to know this, because once you do this setup, that's when you feed it, and that's when the model or the automation can work through, right? Yeah, so this data flow streams downwards into engineering layers where teams like clean, structure, and integrated into platforms like Snowflake or modern data lake houses. So here's an important skill that I want to like highlight: Snowflake. You guys might have been through conferences or not. It's an amazing skill. Rather than spending time with, like, yeah, rather than spending time with like, what do you say, like a Salesforce, there are other better CRM tools that's present. Um, yeah, so I think give some time for Snowflake and understand how that works. It's basically like a place where you store data and historical data, and you pivot data, you can extract and transform load. Let's say at a place where you work. I use Snowflake in my place of work to just store data. Like, for example, we have Power BI dashboards that come in, right? So I don't want to, like, every time I open my dashboard, I don't want to keep refreshing the dashboard manually and wait for it to load, right? With the updated data. So I want to automate that process. So I put it to Snowflake, and then I just schedule a particular refresh. Let's say I want to do it weekly once. And by the time I come to work and I log in every day, I want to make sure that that works like straightforward. Like when I open it, there should be the refresh data, and that would show me when was this data refreshed and not. So that's the main purpose I use Snowflake for, but there are many other ways of using that, right? So yes. So going forward, so I don't want to like waste too much of your time because we have another person coming to speak. I'm sorry if I crossed over the time, but certifications, I don't have any particular certifications that comes in. I think it's just going to be like, it really depends on everyone has different resource materials and, way of studying. Like some people might be better than me when it comes to resource allocations. Like you might have some better resources without spending money, you might just learn everything. But I might recommend, like, if you guys are doing masters and you're not able to recall, just do a brush up. All-time referral Coursera, right? All of us know about it, so just go through it. But uh, Microsoft has certifications. It's expensive. It's not free. Microsoft, if you go to the website, they have certifications which are really good. I have done few. So one of them is the beginner level, that is data fundamentals. It's kind of theory related, but I think it's good if you guys know about what it means and how data analytics works, what's the backend framework that works with it. Cloud, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of cloud engineering yet because it's not in my game, I guess. Because one is I don't deal with it at work, and but you guys might want to explore that as well. And then if some of you know already modeling and you're crazy, like experienced just with project as a portfolio, you know how to do it, just focus on roles like data scientist and ML ops related positions. So for that, Microsoft has a course, which I've mentioned it down there, that's called as Fabric Analytics Engineer, right? So they're pretty good. They give you a deep analytics. So talking about Fabric, I forgot to mention, the previous firm that I was working at, Parents Anonymous, is where I got introduced to this Microsoft Fabric, which is also called as maybe Google Analytics. It's similar to it. It's all marketing based tools. So Microsoft Fabric is just like Snowflake, but it's maybe for a smaller use case scenario. So you might want to know that too, because let's say you get a dream company invitation interview from, let's say, Microsoft, and that's been your dream to get into. I think you guys might want to explore how Fabric works. There's like a 10-day free trial. You can just explore, load your dashboards and just check how it works. And you can write SQL endpoints. I don't know if you guys know what an SQL endpoint is, but you can use SQL endpoints or write Python codes in it and just store it, and that would be automated. You don't have to download each time from a Google Colab or Azure or, let's say, Jupyter Notebook, right? So that's one. And so some of these societies that I am part of, or I'm still planning to be part of, are these three. So these have a very good presence in the US. I don't know about, let's say, back home in India or like any other abroad place. Uh, so DASCA, they have like a, they call Data Science Council of America. So they are really, really like extremely certified. Like you have the certification, it's really good. I'm sure it's not very popular, but it's really good, I would say. They have two models of certifications. One is where, let's say you are already having a crazy rich portfolio of work experience and you're coming to do masters. You can apply for their senior data scientist certifications. It is expensive. I think they charge $750 for the certification. Uh, but out of that, you get a certification and you can just put it on your portfolio on LinkedIn or wherever you want to do it. So, or if you're like a fresher with zero experience and you don't even have an internship experience, which is okay, they have a fresher certification as well, which is of the same cost. And we have IADSSS, but and ODSE, yes. ODSE, they do a lot of good hackathons and like codathons or ideathons. So where they even like you bring out an idea, like they would also sponsor you for startups. Like so if any of you guys are in that crowd, please go ahead and do that. You're most than welcome to do that. So they are pretty supportive. Uh, and also one advice since I'm talking about hackathons, like I think rather than focusing on hackathons within college or within grad school, try to participate in the real world hackathons. You know what I mean? Like let's say maybe Cisco hosted a hackathon like 3 months ago. I don't know if you guys know. So if you guys participate in that, there are two outcomes. One is maybe you might be a winner of it. You might get a good cash prize or a good internship or whatever. But the other outcome that is really important is you get to network and you get to keep that relationship for at least for the next 3 to 4 years live. And you never know when a networks can come in handy, right? So try to participate in outdoor events more rather than like I understand. So when you have clubs like these, just do make use of these and also try to attend many conferences. So one of the other professional organizations that I forgot to mention about is IEEE. I have been on this for about like 5 to 6 years now till this date. I've been a member of it. So that is a place for like publishing too many research articles. There's so many journals under IEEE which keep um, you know people keep updating so many research articles in it. And your first step might like you guys might want to start doing that. Uh, and then also like they have a lot of conferences. I am instead going for a conference in the month of January next year. Uh, it's called as IEEE Rising Stars. So if any of you guys wanna like join, just put a message to me. We can like let's collaborate and go. Uh, they call it IEEE Rising Stars. That's funded by too many organizations. There's a lot of networks that you can build over there, and maybe possibly an internship or a full-time role, whoever is seeking whatever. But yeah, it's expensive. So when you go for any particular good conference, the point I'm coming to is that try to find if you're not able to self-sponsor, don't give up. Just try to find out sponsorships from college or from your particular clubs if they have a budget for this particular event, or become an IEEE member. Let's say for this, if you're a member, you get a discounted rate, or there are sections in every particular place. So your like let's say Colorado might also have a section, so you guys might want to find that. You can email them and get the travel covered. So there are ways to do it. So just make sure you're already in the US. Make utilize that time, not just in studying and preparing. I get it. This time is a very cornered time where you have midterms going on, I guess, and like project submissions. But I think parallelly, just focus on building your network, not just within friends. I get it. Friends are an important aspect when you come and live independently here. But I think network speak to every other person possible and like try to get out something out of it. Trust me, all these jobs that I have or have had is not on my own, because giving an application just cold application and just waiting is no longer the way to go about it, because you might want to find a referral, but that should not be a person like with who says, okay, I'll give you a referral, and he just submits an application for you and he just lets it go. That's just a cold referral again. You might want to find someone who you really know, or you really want to connect first and then ask for a referral, and they would really put efforts for you to actually keep your application moving, and they might help you guide on how to get this job sorted, right? This slide is unnecessary, industrial and use cases. I just wanted to like prove the point that data is like, pivotable in any industry. You name it, it's there, right? Automobile, you can work as a data professional. Healthcare, IT, hospital, non-profits, or anywhere, consulting. So the point here is do make sure whenever you're giving interviews, update your resume. And I'm sure in the next event, he's going to talk about what is essential in your resume, what details you need to put. But I'm not going to cover that for now. One is I'm crossing time. Uh, just make sure that you can at least do half of these events and it doesn't really depend on how many certifications you do. Like let's say even you do three certifications, that's okay, that's well and good, you're good to go. You do not need to put 10 certifications in your resume and be like, I have done so many, I don't have an experience, but I have done 10 certifications. He's not going to give a damn about your profile. Trust me, I have not done it. I have done it when I've hired my team, when it was difficult to filter out candidates that way. So practically just try to put as much as what you feel is important, just keep it short and sweet, such that the employer in that 6 to 7 seconds he can undergo what are the important terms that he needs. Is that there? That's it. That's when it crosses ATS, right? So that's about it. Yes. So for conclusion, I would like to live one last simple message. The world of data and AI is massive. There's a place for everyone. So let's say whether you choose to become a data analyst or whatever, everyone has a path that leads to huge opportunities. No one is like lesser or more. So the key is not learning everything. The key is to understand the ecosystem, build strong foundational skills. Just remember, I started the same way with small roles, internships, and like multiple responsibilities and learning everything step by step. So if I could grow into the roles I have today, you can absolutely too. So all of us are at the same level. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep moving forward. Your future in data science and AI is built one skill at a time. So thank you all for listening. And now I'm happy to take any questions if you guys wanna, or we can just end it right here. So I'm going to stop sharing, but yes, thank you.
Thank you, Akhilesh, for such a wonderful talk. It was great talking to you and getting to know your experience and how it is to navigate all the career paths in data science. Thank you. We would like to take up questions if anyone has, please. You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Okay, I see some questions in the chat. So yeah, I can send this presentation to Suprata or someone and they can maybe send it over to the people that they need it. Yeah, sure.
Any other questions?
Is this crowd like having a lot of international students or is it just too many domestic students? How is this? Do you know the ratio?
It's kind of like approximate because most of the residential students are international and we have just even our Coursera students. So, yeah.
Okay, so one last heads up that I can send us. Yeah, I'll send my LinkedIn. Yes. So, so one last thing I want to say to the international students here because I've been through it. And guys, just I know it's tough, so just keep going. But just make sure when you graduate, I understand in internships you can use CPT and all that. I've seen my friends doing a lot of mistakes with the timeline of applying for OPT because they lose or they either get it rejected. So make sure you keep your OPT process up to date on particular the timeline with whatever the UCIS has declared. That's okay. OPT first year is great. Anyone can find loopholes and stop the timer. But second year of OPT, I think this has been a new initiative by the immigration department. Just make sure your employer is going to be e-verified, right? Not all the employers are e-verified. That's something that I learned in the entire process of maybe graduating and doing a job and working all over here. Your employer needs to be e-verified. If they are not, your STEM OPT application is not going to get accepted because for you to process your STEM OPT, they're going to ask your offer letter. They're going to check if your employer is e-verified or not. So that's one challenge that you guys might face. But I don't want to get you guys anxious, but you guys should know this. And if any one of you is planning to be in the US for more than like 3 years, just a heads up. I'm just going to take 2 minutes of time here. Uh, Look for H1B sponsors. I know it's difficult, but there are two types of H1B sponsorship. So one is cap exempt, the other one is cap based. So So the lottery-based H-1B is like the filing generally happens like on March of every year, right? So let's say you get hired, your employer says, I'll sponsor you, but whether you get it or not is a random decision. That is a lottery. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to happen. There is a risk. But the other one is the previous firm that I was working in, that is Parents Anonymous. So they are a non-profit, right? So they have this form that they have signed with the government that is 501(c)(3), which defines that the particular firm is a non-profit or we are doing a public service. And any employee coming under it is cap exempted. So if I was working there, if I was working there on let's say by now, I would have got it sponsored. Like basically, I can file it any time of the year. I do not have to wait for anyone. The only you have to just make sure that current company has an MOU with any university. So find out if any of the nonprofits is affiliated with your university. That is one advice I can give you. Uh, if there is, please make sure that you guys can like take over and do it. Uh, yeah, so look for that kind of an H1B process, so that'll really help you out. Great.
There were some more questions which was asked in the Google form, like when we did that with PP. So you could check that in chat box. That's that.
Yes, I'll send it over. Uh, and see your question. So ATS, I mean, I'm no whiz. So it depends completely on what the job responsibilities are. Uh, so you need to really understand if uh the words. So here's the thing. I'm sure the next speaker is going to help you with this. And uh generally an employer, or let's say if I was hiring a person, I would look at it in such a way that I just need those keywords. Like let's say he needs to know at least basic snowflake. If I see snowflake, I'm just going to read that sentence. Whether you have a two-page resume or a three-page resume, I'm not going to read it entirely because I might not have the time. So generally when people have hired me, I've done that. I've just kept my resume as much as I can to just one page and just keep certifications which are really important, if that works. Uh, yeah, I'm just sending out my link now. Yes, this is my link. Yes, that's my link. You guys can connect with me there. I have to update my portfolio, so that's me. That is me. I've just finished 6 months, so yeah, great.
Thank you so much, Akhilesh. It was great having you here. If
Thank you.
anyone.
Thank you so much for thank you so much, Akhilesh, for joining us. It was a great session.
Hey, Emily and Maria, do you have any comments or you want to tell something to the audience?
The question was for me, right? Your background was a little disturbing. Was the question for me or?
Yeah, he was saying to you. Like, do you have anything else? Like any advice for us?
No, good luck, guys. That's all I can say because I gave you the possible opinions, possible like H1Bs and OPTs. Just be crucial about it. Just keep applying, just keep networking, go through as much as events you can. And I think, yeah, that's all about it. I see a question. What resources do you use for interview preparation? So, uh, I think I just record myself. So, uh, so I just record myself and I just listen to myself hundreds of times as to what mistakes I did because everyone has a different way of processing things, right? Like you might be better, as I said, like you might want to understand what are the key points that you want to say about yourself. The important aspect is how you introduce yourself, right? You might want to know what do you want to highlight in your profile when you give an introduction about yourself. That's really important. So in the 5 to 10 minutes of timeline that the employer gives you, you're supposed to make sure all those important points have been given. Yeah.
So I was listening to your advice for going to hackathons. So do you like believe that going to hackathons might get us a job?
I mean, so I mean, yeah, it's possible, but it's not like I'm hosting the hackathon and I'm like giving you guys the job, right? So that's like a probability question. So I have seen like my own like friends like who are close to me, they have like can't say if they've got a job, but they've at least got an interview out of it. Like focus on hackathons which have like bigger cash prizes. Usually they give something out of it, right? There's a good outcome. So that there can be an internship or there can be like a full-time job. An interview that's possible. There's no direct path like where you do an hackathon, you get a full-time job. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. But I think, yeah, I think the culture is changing, and I think we should go to like more hackathons and to conferences and just like network like good to like good people rather
Yeah.
than just like filling applications, like 100 applications a day.
True, true. That's the smartest way to do it, right? Because giving cold applications, as I said, is out of the trend. It's not gonna happen. You're just gonna get an automatic reject. I have faced a lot of rejections, right? Like I've got a lot of rejections. It's common. So it's difficult. And if I have to leave this job and go to a new job, it's difficult for me to switch.
Yeah.
Uh, so you guys have to like network and keep it live. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I think you summarized everything really good.
Thank you. Thank you. And it was great that you guys hosted this event for me. Thank you.
Yeah. So for our second session, we are excited to welcome Pranjal Pathak. So Pranjal is a CU Boulder MSDS alumni from the class of 2023, and he is currently senior data scientist at Microsoft. His work focuses on building LLM applications and scalable ML systems with a specializations in core ML, NLP, and generative AI-based solutions. So we are really happy to have him back here with us, the MSDS community today. Over to Pranjal. You can pick up.
Hey, hi everyone. Can I get a thumbs up or something like my audio is clear?
Yeah,
Good.
your audio is clear.
Hi everyone. Great to be back. I was listening to Akhilesh talking about, and he covered excellent points that you folks should take in for the interview prep. I know it's a tough phase. There are a lot of things that are coming, and the market has not been great for quite some time. And I agree, like masters is a quite short time to prepare yourselves for the industry, but I'm hoping that uh, some of you or most of you have some work experience with yourself. So before even I start, and this is a very old picture, so don't bother about this. Before I start, uh, like there was a poll. Can we get the results of the poll so that I can get the sense of the audience?
Mm.
Is there a way we can get that?
Yeah, just a moment.
Okay, so yeah, I had some questions about uh, this, like the fundamentals and the buzzword Gen AI, what everybody is talking about. So I have the results. Okay, so 32% have no idea. Okay, that's a little bit worrying. Okay, and 32% have some idea. Great. So, and 14% I know it uses transformers, 11% I'm interested, and 11% can explain in an interview. So, three folks, great, you're good to go. But the rest of the folks, like you should have some idea about GenAI in this domain. Okay, we'll get to that. Second question is, I know which application stream I want to work in after my master's. And that's a tough question because a lot of us, when we are doing masters, we don't know yet which direction to go because we don't have any kind of feedback from the outside world. So the shocking result is like 0% wants to go for a PhD. So nobody is here for higher education. That's a strange fact because there are some folks who want to deep dive into this field. Okay, and 61% I haven't decided yet. That's okay. We will drill down into some of these aspects. And 21% are in NLP. So that's a great. So if you are in NLP, you'll be definitely working with Gen AI stuff. So that should be there. And then the last question was, I have chosen this path as my career. 64% are confident that they want to become a data scientist. And the second top choice is 14% a machine learning engineer. Okay, and the rest of the chances are less. And there are some data engineers as well. And just one folk wants to be an applied scientist. Okay, so yeah, that's another good relevation. Okay, cool. So that sums it up about this Gen AI thing that has been a buzzword, and I'm sure like you guys or you folks have been maybe looking into this or maybe uh, learning about this because as far as I know, maybe the curriculum does not have any coursework on Gen AI yet, but I'm sure like self-study is always there. So let me get down to the presentation for this. Again, thumbs up if you can see my screen clearly and the whole page is the slideshow. Any thumbs up? Cool. Okay, great. So let's kickstart with this thing with a quote. One of the founders, the brain behind the OpenAI ChatGPT wave that came out, anything which any one of us can learn, the AI could eventually do as well. Eventually is a big thing because right now we are not there yet at all, but eventually, theoretically, we can be there. So that's the quote, and that brings us to the topic of intersection of Gen AI in data science. My name is Pranjal. I am a senior data scientist at Microsoft. I'm working on the very Copilot that some of you who have Microsoft computers might be working with or might be using. Similar to ChatGPT, it's just, you can say, a funny wrapper over OpenAI models, but it's much more than that. And a lot of analysis, a lot of proof of concepts, a lot of applications. I take a look at that and I try to work on them at Microsoft. I'm based out of Seattle. So if anyone of you guys or you folks have been in Seattle, it's I like it. It's a lovely place with the beautiful weather. Contrast to Colorado, but it is what it is. Now, the presentation is mostly on the Freud's theory of this iceberg, where we will deep dive into what components that you see out there and what lies beneath the water level. So, just a brief historic view. 1960s, simple patterns emerged. Uh, I'm sure like you guys are studying neural networks and you might have a brief history as well. So this is more relevant to the Gen AI kind of field. So Gen AI is just a short for generative AI. Anything that generates natural language is can be comprised of Gen AI. 2014, GANs came out. It was a big thing back then. And I was in school as well. So I was doing my bachelor's and everybody was talking about GANs back then. 17 was another milestone. The one of the most popular papers in AI community attention is all you need came out, and the primary authors were from Google, and one of them was Indian as well in Google Brain. It was a big achievement that kicked off all these things that we are seeing in media in application worldwide right now. So that was the kicking point in milestones. 2022, ChatGPT came out, became public, and everybody was like, okay, what is this? Is it like the advent of AI finally? Is it more than that? It is less than that? And as you might know or might not know, since 2022, uh, this field has been accelerating like anything. If especially if you're in NLP or doing anything with ML, you might have heard about generative AI, foundational models, the whole idea of this. And this was the key milestone when things got kicked off, like people started hearing about them. And since then, we are accelerating at a pace we have never seen. And some people say that it's an AI bubble. I don't believe that, because the more and more, forward we go, there are different kind of implementations and applications coming out from this domain, which change and shape the future. So for one example is agentic platforms or frameworks, which I'm working on at Microsoft. So that's literally, in a nutshell, is here to take our future jobs in a summarized form. It can do anything that like I can do. I can code, I can think. It can do better than me. So it's scary, but that's how it is, and that's why we have to adapt ourselves with this framework coming in into picture. So take it for the pinch of salt when people say that it's an AI bubble. It is. I don't think it is. Now, future is the agentic platforms, and you can say an application of AI into our day-to-day work. It could be mental work, it could be creative work, it could be when you implement robotics with with these engines, it becomes mechanical as well. So almost anything that we can think of, it is possible now in the futures. Let's say about the tip of the iceberg. I think most of us, when we are in school, in masters, we are here at this moment that we look at these things, these new tools, new products coming out, and we have a very high level understanding about these things in a general. So that's the tip of the iceberg. That's what we see in media. That's what our friends talk about. That's what we discuss in parties. So something like you might have heard about these large language models like GPT series, Claude, uh, Llama models. There are a bunch of them right now. So these are the big, milestones in this tip. Now, one difference between, I would say, like between generative and what which you folks have been studying, uh, whatever we study in school is uh, we work with models which are more deterministic in nature. We have an intuition that it can predict this and this based on our understanding. But that's just away from a generative AI because it's all probability. The tokens, that the text sequences you're seeing right now in when you write a prompt on a chat GPT like a tool, these are all probabilistic values that the model thinks that okay, this is how it should be. So it's all about more drill downs towards the quantum field and domain of science rather than the Newtonian domain where things were more deterministic. So that's one key difference between traditional modeling approaches. And there are a bunch of applications right now. It might seem limited at this very moment, but in future, it's going to explode like anything. And once you patch, robotics and other electronic signals into this, it becomes a whole new world of things that we can achieve. Now, a few of the jobs that on a very high level look at this kind of iceberg where you will be working with more towards an application point of view. You will not be researching, you would not be deep diving into things. You will be more applying these things like somebody publishes new tools and you're required to upskill yourself and learn how to apply those tools. So a typical field lands in this domain is software engineering roles. Uh, these folks have to be upskill at a very accelerated rate because new tools keep on coming. They need to understand them, they need to work with them, and the foundational knowledge like data structures and the use of it is key to this particular kind of role. So if you're going for a MLE kind of a role, you need to be very strong with your data structures. You need to be fluent in dynamic programming because those are the questions that people will ask in most of the company interviews. A product engineer and AI product manager are two senior roles, which you will, if you have work experience or you gain work experience, you will eventually go down that path. There will be an opportunity for you folks to go in that path. But that's more like explaining and what and why to the end customer. That's like the selling point for the company. Deep diving below the water level is what we come in, like we data scientists in general, and you folks studying this course. So that's where the fundamentals are very important. So there are some applications of generative AI, very popular ones like RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's one of the backbones of any tool out there right now which uses LLMs. And you have to be fluent in vector databases and RAG when you are working in this kind of domain. So, few terms that you should be aware of if you're not aware already. Embeddings are very important. So, practice, go back if you're at all interested in this kind of NLP domain, which is like I would say 60% of the domain right now in the market, and 40% is classical ML and time series forecasting. So if you're in the 60% of the market, that opens up more jobs. You need to be fluent in text handling, like how to handle text data, how these ML models handle text data, and the crux of it comes down to this embeddings. So there will be interview questions on how these embeddings work. What is the difference between skipgram versus continuous backwards? What is the difference between statistical embedding versus contextual embedding? So be prepared for these questions if you're thinking about going in the 60% of the job market. Orchestration is another tool which, I often interview candidates, so I see this kind of skill lacking because we don't really work on orchestration, right? Like we are not expected to work, but that's the problem. That's the irony because these things are asked in the interviews, and if you get a chance, go to YouTube, uh, look up some system design interviews. They talk about orchestration layers and how did it participates and creates a role. Now, the job market is very diverse in this water level. So data science comes into picture of a lot in this domain. So if you are going to apply for, let's say, Meta or Amazon, those data scientists are product data scientists, which build insights and they drive the business. So your word will be very important to the company. You say that, okay, based on my experimentation, I think we should implement this kind of change in, let's say, Amazon Prime. That your word will go travel through the corporate ladder like anything. So that's heavy, and that's a driving force there. So you will be doing that, and the interviews will grill you on those aspects as well. Applied scientist is kind of a cross section between, let's say, a research and an application. So you need to have a research mindset to apply for applied scientist role. So if at all, that's why I asked the question for higher education. If at all you are interested in learning the maths of it, deep diving into aspects of it, and you believe that you have a kind of a research mindset, definitely explore applied science roles because these are all about these are all looking for candidates who have a research mindset. If you're not able to solve a problem, that's okay. But can you figure out a way to solve the problem eventually? So that's the mindset they are, looking for. And Emily, again, one of the big milestones, and most of the job market is covered by Emily. Machine learning engineers comes into the picture where they build and train these generative models, or it could be large language, it could be small language models, or it could be even classical models. The sad part is right now in the market, almost 60% of the companies or the roles are working on Gen AI stuff. So classical ML is not being used a lot right now. That's the state of industry, and that's how it is. So if because you're in the school, you have a good time right now. If you can upskill in any of the applications of Gen AI and be fluent with it, you will have at least one or two interviews cracked. So that's a I think a pro tip for there. Now, deep diving into this. Now, this needs a little bit of work experience uh, because it's kind of a field or domain that expects you to have some work experience. So if you don't have any work experience, you're just fresh out of the bachelor's and then you came for master's. I would say wait for these kind of roles and don't get disheartened at all because it's just the way it is. Like that's the way industry works. So I'll stop like I won't stop you also from applying for these roles, but you have a lesser chance of cracking these roles because they need some kind of work X or exposure to doing these things. For example, fine tuning is a very big aspect in Gen AI. That's like 20% of the work in Gen AI that is going into optimizing these models. OpenAI, Claude, they release their models. Now everybody is happy for like a month, and then they find out the ground reality that it's not working with our data. So there are now ways to find that. So fine tuning, adapters, prefix fine tuning, all kind of domains within that comes into this deeper level where you need some exposure. Now, the way around it would be having open source projects. So, if for example, if I would be you, I would just go and learn about deep sea AI. That was the Chinese open source model. I would try to fine tune it on some application, learn about it. So that will be a great way to highlight yourself from the audience who have maybe never worked on fine tuning. So do that if you're interested in deep diving and becoming a data scientist in a more applied way. You can always become a product data scientist, which doesn't require all these things. But if you're interested in ML and that's what that's what brought you here in this course. For me, it was like that. I didn't like doing a lot of experimentation or analysis kind of work. I wanted to play with the models. So this is where these things come into picture. And for that, you need some kind of practical exposure. It could be open source, it could be previous work experience, like that. Now, applied scientist again is a cross section between applied research and novelty. Uh, some of the aspects I would say in this fundamentals that you need would be I would say like if I were you, I would just blindly go about fine tuning aspects. I will try to learn more and more about how to fine tune a model. What is fine tuning? What is transfer learning? What are the ways to fine tune a model? And have some of it maybe as an open source project in my resume, because that's a highlighting factor that will separate you from the major of the audience applying for the role if your resume reaches out to a hiring manager. Again, if you're doing this, go and read the maths. That is important. Maybe it will be asked, maybe not, but you should know so that you feel confident and you build an intuition of working with these things. So one such example is what is attention, how the matrices work in attention. So, for example, as simple as KQV matrix operations, how to decompose them, how to understand them, is relevant and important if you're deep diving into these domains. Now, the crux of the iceberg, that's where the novelty becomes a really important thing. And that's where like research and theoretical things go on. So since we don't have any person or any folk who is interested in PhD, this is not a lot relevant to you folks, but maybe in future, if you're interested in this kind of domain and if you want to deep dive, to do this, you need a PhD. That's a minimum. Maximum could be multiple PhDs, one in a science, one in maybe business, so that you can achieve roles like a principal researcher or a research manager, all kind of these things. But PhD is a minimal thing that you need here, and that opens up the door for you to be in the research field, which is very great, like because you'll be inventing things, you'll be writing papers, you'll be making things that nobody has thought about. And that takes a lot of time, and a PhD degree prepares you for that. So 5 or 6 years drills you, breaks you, and eventually it prepares you for that kind of mindset. So that is uh, there is no discussion to that at all. This is only applicable if you have a PhD. That is a minimal. That too will not guarantee you a position. Maybe after 2 or 3 work experience at startups or small companies, then you can get companies like Google Brain, Microsoft Research. Maybe that's a best chance, but that's how it is in this field. And almost 70% new researches are being conducted in Gen AI, be it language model, be it vision model, uh, anything that relates to this basic transformer attention mechanism. So that's a interesting way to look at that. Now, before I go ahead, any questions? Yeah, any questions, any doubts, anything coming in your mind? So the second part is more towards the resume thing. I'll just go through resume knowledge and understanding what I have. And yeah, maybe after that, I can even have a Q&A. So should I go to the next section and we do the Q&A later on? Okay, cool. So, yep, so this is minute. Yep. So this is about the resume building. Now, it's a mysterious thing. I won't lie. Nobody exactly knows what goes on when you apply for a job and you turn out to be a real candidate, and when maybe you crack the interview. The whole process is has a lot of mystified layers, and unfortunately, there is no clear answer to that, but I'll try my best. What I have come up from my years of experience and doing these interviews, getting rejections, and maybe cracking some. So the basic idea, and I right now at my position, I'm also interviewing people, and these companies share a document with you where you go across all the things that you should ask, you should look in a candidate, some of the red flags, and all these things. So this slide captures those things, which these, like for example, Microsoft gave me a whole a training for interviewing people, and it had all, like, they talked about red flags, they talked about what to seek in a candidate, what to reject in a candidate, and blah blah blah, all layers around it. But again, after that also, I don't know what exactly goes on in this pipeline. So like Akhilesh said, uh, cold applications, applying on a job is very difficult right now. It won't uh, matter a lot because let's say you apply on a job, it goes through a ATS profile filtration process. Then if it catches those keywords which are matching in the job description, it will, and if it's above a threshold, it will pass your resume. Then it will go to HR recruiter or a scout who has very basic knowledge about the job description. They are just looking at the job description, reading it, and then looking at your resume. So they are not technically sound, but they look for keywords. They look for kind of hidden key points in your resume. Now that is totally up to them. But let's say you get a little technically sound scout who can understand what's going on in your resume, and they clear your thing. Then it reaches out to the hiring manager, and then hiring manager, invites the candidate for the full loop. Or maybe there are a couple of other screenings as well if you're applying for Netflix and Airbnb. So these are like, in a very nutshell, some positions that are hot in the market. Data scientist, for that you need education, at least a master's plus 3 years of work X, or a PhD plus 1 or 2 years of work X. That will open doors for you in a data science domain. In as a data scientist, you could always be something else in working in the data science. But if you want to become a proper data scientist, in per se across all companies, that's some minimal education level that you need to have, and your focus will be application, vision, all these kind of things. Applied scientist, like I said, is a cross between a data science and research. So you will be looking at a lot of papers, you'll be reading a lot of papers, you'll be implementing them with the code. So it could be like that. So if at all you want to go in this field, uh, take some good papers out there, uh, try to convert them into code. That will build up your intuition about this paper thing. So that's the research mindset, that what they look for. And then analytical engineer is more like fresh level entry positions where you will be working on insights, dashboarding, converting or translating data into some business values. So that is what that is analytical engineer and all sort of fields that goes in that. And the main key skill you need to develop is problem solving. So that is what it is, like problem solving. You get a problem, you have 30 minutes. How do you solve it? What are the innovative ways you can think of? So to build this, you need some kind of intuition. And for that, you need practice. Take out some sample, or maybe just go to YouTube, search for system design interviews, pause the video, and try to solve it in 30 minutes. Say, or maybe as Akhilesh was saying, record yourself, see what you're doing, and see if a other person who has never seen you, have doesn't knows you, can crack you in those 30 minutes. So be it like that. Be You need to build intuition for anything like that goes in this domain at least. Now, some quick highlights for creating your resumes. Now, the consensus is you have one resume, you apply for all the jobs, and right now in this market, that will never ever work. For that, at least if you're going through the non-networking route, if you're not able to network with a lot of people, if you don't know a lot of folks in industry, and you have connections with them, that is the best way. Obviously, that is the best way. That's how it works in United States. You need to have a good networking capability or a working connection with these people who can directly hire you or at least put you in the interview loop. So if you met some manager in a conference or in a hackathon and you were able to make some kind of impact on them, and when you reach out to them on LinkedIn, they will remember you. They will definitely, uh, you know, you know, listen to you and get your resume in the loop. That is the best way. But if at all that is not a good way for you, it's not working out for you, or you're new here, you don't know anybody here. So in that case, you have to prepare your resume and make it have the best chance to crack that ATS profiling filtration system. So the way to do is create a skeleton of your resume and read some job descriptions. Like, for example, if you're applying for data science in GenAI, what are the keywords? Capture those keywords and try to map it to your resume. That increases your chance of cracking those ATS based filtration process. If you have limited work ex, if you're fresh out of school from bachelor's and then master's, you need to work on your open source projects, like work on Kaggle, work on GitHub projects, do freelancing, publish something, and put that on your resume. So the first thing that people will look, if at all it tracks the ATS process round, the first thing your scout, your managers will look will be your project work. It could be your work experience, it could be your open source project, any kind of thing that you have developed on your own will be the first thing that they will look. And that's why in resumes, what we typically advise is have your name and then just completely directly followed by your work experience or your project work. Nobody cares about what school you're coming from or what your grades are or what your achievements are. Nobody will give a look at that because there are thousands of resumes coming in every single day. So the only thing that makes you different would be the keywords in your projects, which matches with your job description. So that is one plus point. Then, if it's not late, learn any kind of data language. It could be SQL, it could be PySpark, it could be any SQL, any data language. Because in industry, you will be required to fetch your own data. There will be no one to help you with that. And if you are struggling with SQL or any kind of query language, it will be a big issue for you. And even in the interview process, if you're applying for data science kind of roles, there will be interview rounds about SQL or query language where they will test you on at least on the pseudocode. So if you have never coded with query language, it'll be a difficult thing to crack. So you have some practice on doing that. And like I said, orchestration design is one of the key elements that makes you different from all other candidates. Now, challenges, what I see in candidates while interviewing them, quick thinking is a major one. Uh, there's a problem, 20 minutes, and you have to think some ways. What people do is they think about some one or two ways. But the thing is, you don't have to be shy. You can be as open as you want, and you can go in any direction. Be innovative, be novel, because that's what like the interviewer is judging you on. It's he or she or they are not judging you on what kind of projects you have done, what kind of exposure. There is also one of the criterias, but not the major criteria. The major criteria is how do you solve a problem under time-bound pressure. So that is one thing. The other thing to work on in school would be rerouting, right? Like you're working your way on a problem and maybe it's not the way. So the interviewer will always help you, will guide you with some suggestions or hints. Listen to those keynotes, listen to those suggestions, and try to build your or route your solution according to that suggestion. That's one of the key criterias interviewers look in the candidates, that whether they were able to implement the suggestions or hints, because nobody expects you to clearly think about a solution in a first go. That is not expected at all. And then responsible AI, guardrails, safety policies. Nobody thinks about them, but these create differences in highlighting a particular individual from the audience or the market. Now, essential knowledge, if you're in this domain, Python, obviously, you folks should be good in Python, especially in the data science. Like you should be good and fluent in Pandas, NumPy, Scikit, all these primary standard libraries. Then thing that you need to work on would be your intuition, your visioning, your adaptability. So can you imagine things? Let's say you are in Gen AI, you are given uh, once you progress in this field, there will be not a very clear direction that will be there because nobody knows how future will turn up. So you need to be visionary. You need to be imaginative. Think about how it could be. Maybe it's a wrong way. Maybe it's a correct way. Nobody knows. But you need to be bold and open about your vision. So that will help you a lot. And then definitely fundamentals are one key things that you need to be do. So the idea is not to be fluent in all the fundamentals, uh, as you're, in the school like exams say. You need to be fluent with one particular skill, which you're excellent in. You can explain the end-to-end solution about that particular skill, and you should know math and everything about that particular fundamental uh, knowledge. So yeah, and as you see, interview requirements, data structures are important. If you're in data science, non MLE, non SWE kind of roles, you can work till you can learn about stacks, queues, maybe till trees. You don't need to learn about graphs. If you can, if you have time, definitely. But nobody will ask you a lot or grill you a lot on graphs or DPs and all those things if you're in data science. If you're in MLE, you need to be fluent in dynamic programming as they can ask. ML maths is another, I would say, important part of it, definitely. But the major skill set you need to develop during school is problem solving and rerouting and quick thinking. These will be the differentiators in your interviews. That's pretty much it. So if at all it helps, I'm also hiring for one of the positions in applied scientist too at Microsoft. It will be a Redmond position, like in Seattle. And the only thing is, if you have a bit of work experience with you, like ideally 7+ years of work experience with you, that'll be a great differentiator. If not, and you think very confident about this, and maybe you have like 5 or 6 years of experience, that is also okay. You can definitely apply for this or reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email and let me know. I'm right now I was interviewing a lot of folks for a different position. So I saw a lot of candidates, and that's how I built this whole deck around it. So yeah, I think that will be all. Cool. So, any questions, any comments, any doubts, any thoughts? It's an open forum. Okay, so
There are a few questions in the chat box.
I see 2 questions. Are there more?
No, it's a
Okay. So I also share my deck with the DaSSA group, so you can feel free to pass it around the deck. And yeah, and 1 second. So this is my connects. So you can reach out to me on my email, or you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn. And yeah, feel free to drop in. So I don't attend a lot of LinkedIn these days because of work, but whenever I can, I will definitely check out. And do tell me if you're from CU Boulder. I'll definitely give a look. That will be highlighted. So I'll be there. Okay, so questions. So pipelining. There are a lot of combinations to make a pipeline. Do you suggest any tools for their availability, open source, for being beginner friendly, or for the high demand? So that's a good question. So pipelining in a general sense means how do you connect your different components in a whole diagram or a whole design? So let's say you're working with, it could be as simple as, let's say you're building a classifier, right? Like you're building a classifier model. Now, that is one aspect to it. Modeling is one aspect to it. Data, what are the sources of your data? Okay, what is the API? What is the exposure that you're doing after your model creation? How it connects to your front end? So all these things, when you put together, it becomes a pipeline, a simple pipeline. Now, the important part of it, how do you connect actually? It looks simple when you look at architecture diagrams on Google. It looks very simple and intuitive, but when you're in that time-bound pressure scenario in 30 minutes and you're asked a question, it's not that simple. It becomes difficult. So the best aspect would be open a drawing tool like Excalidraw or Draw.io or any kind of open source tool and draw the pipeline. So again, go to YouTube or go to some reference material. They will ask a question, pause that video, go back to your Excalidraw or your Draw.io tool. These are like 2 popular tools which are used in interviews. So and try to build. Now try to think about the layers that your design should have. Try to connect them with each other and how it looks like. So if you're good in making these architectures, that tells a lot because that tells the interviewer that, okay, one, you know your thing, right? You know which component does what. So there'll be little follow-up questions. And second, it gives an interviewer's impression that you have the ability to vision things on a global level, like a high level thing, rather than you're isolated into a particular component. So that is an eye opener for the interview, and that will help you out as well. So practice, I think that's the only way. Practice at best and become better in designing these pipelines. So if you do that, that will be a great game changer. Okay, so Excalidraw and Draw.io are very open source, good tools. It could be Microsoft Teams whiteboarding. It could be even Notepad. Like Notepad also are used for interviews. But the good ones are like Excalidraw and Draw.io. Those are quite good ones. Okay, what are the best ways to prepare for your first data analyst or scientist interview? Please share some tips on applying to jobs, timeline, and preparation tips. Okay, so this is a good question. So this thing I found out quite later in my career that It's just not a good way of preparing things blindly, and then, like, let's say you take a break of 3 months, prepare for your interviews, and then you jump on after 3 months and start applying. That is not a good way at all. And that I learned after a lot of time late in my career. The best way would be start your preparations, right, let's say tomorrow, and look at the jobs that are coming in and start applying maybe on one or two of them just to get a feel of it. So once you see the job descriptions, when you see the positions, you get a highlight an area, you get a idea of what you need to focus on, what you need to prepare on. So that will be an important thing. And whenever let's say you get an interview and you're going to, go for the interview, read the job description in and out, read the company profile, read the team profile, try to find that information, try to reach out folks which might be in the same company, and try to get some understanding what's happening in that particular company. The idea is if you use certain keywords or certain topics that is very familiar with the interviewer, you will get a bonus point. That's the idea. So if you're able to crack inside that particular role, let's say, for example, if you're interviewing for Microsoft, and if you talk about responsible AI, that'll be a bonus point. That doesn't mean that will play a definite role in your interview, but in general, that's the idea. So if you're applying for Adobe, uh, and if you think about how to expand Creative Cloud subscription to all users, that's a bonus point. So read about the job description, read about the team, the hiring manager, look at their LinkedIn profiles and catch certain keywords that they can reflect with and use them in your interview. So that is there. And preparation tips, uh, study, apply, rather than study for 3 months and then apply. That's not a good way. I failed with that a lot and I changed my way. Now what I do is I study, apply simultaneously, and that opens up a lot more chances. Hey, preparation is like, yeah, that's all about. Uh, Read the job description and prepare your study material according to that rather than going in a very generic format and studying everything. How do you define a day in machine learning role? How many task projects you have on your plate at once? So I'm not in machine learning, role because I'm not a machine learning engineer. That's a separate task. For that, you need a computer science degree. Then you can jump into being an MLE, or you need to be exceptional at coding. Uh, if you're in data science and you are fluent in dynamic programming, then you can land up MLE kind of roles. But yeah, in typically in I can talk about the data science aspect. Machine learning, I was there back in when I was in India. So in machine learning, it was probably uh, more towards uh, you know training and developing these models, writing code which is optimized, has less latency, cover all the edge cases, cover all the exceptions, like more like that. So the idea was not to think about the model a lot. You will be given directions from your team members about, okay, this is the model that we think should do good. Can you train it for, let's say, 100 epochs? You do that, you deploy that model and write the code around it. You don't think like, okay, this should be there, this shouldn't be there. It's not like that. That will be a someone else's task. Now, as a data scientist, me personally, it's a lot open because I work in GenAI. There's no clear direction given to me by anyone because nobody knows how to do. So they tell me a problem statement that, okay, can we do something about XYZ? Now it's my job to go back, do a literature review, learn what is going on in the market, what is going on in the industry, and think about and draw the pipelines. Like think about these designs, what can be implemented for this particular problem statement. That is the only way, to survive this data science in Gen AI kind of stuff. And how many task projects you played at once? It's not a lot because the bigger and bigger companies you work for, the work burden on a particular individual drops. So when I was working for smaller companies, I was handling 3 to 4 projects at once. it was like I will go to office Monday at 9 a.m. and Friday 7 p.m. I'm working. That was there. When I climbed up the ladder, it became less. And right now it's just like one or two projects at once. So that depends on your company, on if you're working for a startup, that will change dramatically. If you're working for Amazon, maybe that will change dramatically. So it depends a lot on your context in your company. Can you tell a roadmap for someone who is a fresher and looking to start a job? I mean, the skills that are required. Yeah, sure. As a fresher, uh, it's a little scary right now in the market because one, Gen AI is capturing a lot of things that, uh, simple things that we as a fresher used to do. That is one aspect of it. So one thing, uh, in general, I'm not sure, like in general, maybe, um, yeah, be updated with the current tech. One question that always pops up in these interviews will be, how do you keep yourself updated in this domain? That's a golden question everybody will ask you in your interview. Prepare a very good answer for that. Because if you just say like, okay, I read articles, that doesn't gonna work because everybody knows that that's a lie. So prepare a good creative answer for how do you stay updated to your current domain, and maybe build a project around that. Maybe have a project to talk about, or maybe reflect on that in your interviews. So that is one. And apart from usual skills like being good in Python, being good in a data query language, being good uh, in the fundamentals like basic maths, that is essential. The one thing that they will be problem solving and quick thinking. If you're a problem solver, it doesn't mean if you reach the end goal. Nobody's looking for that. If you were able enough or vocal enough to think about it, maybe in a more innovative way, that will be the game changer for if you're a fresher. So that will determine if your chances in landing a particular job. Hey, can you explain how you got into the position that you are working right now? Yeah, sure. So I was working for. The thing is, like, I had some work ex before coming to this school, XCU. So that helped. That definitely helped. I had some connections with people in industry in US because of my company and because of my work in India. So I knew some people, and they were helpful enough to refer me for some roles and or maybe connect me with some other people. I would say, and apart from this, like one key thing that came out was building a connection with one of the professors in the school. So I took one of the classes in lead school. That was Dr. David. Uh, he still teaches. I think he teaches SQL language, and he is a great professor in that domain. So I built a good connection with him. I used to go to him and talk about different aspects in industry. How do you apply this and that in industry? So he helped me a lot. Uh, the day I graduated, I got two calls from unknown people talking to me because they knew David in and out. They used to talk to them. And maybe David mentioned my name that I was looking for some work in Gen AI field in this. And those two uh, fellows were creating their own startups. And they wanted folks from Colorado locally who were good in Gen AI. They reached out to me. Fortunately, I had a job, like I had already a job from another firm, so I said no to them. But yeah, that's how it helped. Like I got two interview opportunities on my first day of graduation because of a connection I made with one of the professors I took one class with. So that's how the importance of connection is especially in states. Okay, so um, yeah, that's all. I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, in Microsoft, I got the same drill. Had to clear a lot of interviews, screenings. I studied about the role. I used the keywords that they wanted to hear. So I said them. And it took like 4 months of time to get that role. And after 4 months, I got an opportunity to work here. So that's been good.
I think thank you so much for for this great session, and we learned a lot from you. So I just have one question, what's your thought about Claude, Cursor, which are coming, and we as students are using it every day.
Yeah, you should be definitely not using those tools for maybe your assignments, I would say. Uh, Maybe you can use, maybe your professors are friendly with that. I don't know. But the thing is, in interviews right now, it's not at that stage when you can use these tools. There are some companies like Netflix and Airbnb which allow you to use these tools in your interview process, but unfortunately, other companies are still working on that. Uh, you know, framework that how to you make interview candidates use these tools. So in my day-to-day life, I work with this Copilot. So it's kind of fine-tuned OpenAI model. So I work with that. So I have a bias towards that. But for my personal opinion, I use for creative work, I use ChatGPT. For coding and building interactive dashboards, I use Claude. And for image generation, I sometimes use Gemini. I never use Facebook models because those are like all built on pirated data. So yeah, these three are one of the three tools that I definitely use on a daily basis.
So in big companies like Microsoft, Amazon, so do they use all these tools on regular basis?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, please tell me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking big companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, do they regularly use all these tools?
Yeah, every single day. Like we are asked to do that. So there is a directive in Microsoft at least that you need to use AI first approach. You need to first let AI code for you, then you code it. So all
Okay.
kind of vibe coding goes with this. So you're asked to do that. It's not like you need to think of novel things and then use these tools because these tools are there for helping you out and accelerating your work. So that's the AI first approach that these companies follow. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I have just one last question. Time for one last question. Hey, quick question. Can you tell about the interview process in deeper, like technically, it will take a lot of time. But I can do high level. In a high level, it will be screening rounds where your manager or your scout will call you on phone or Teams and they will talk about roles and they will try to listen for those keywords. If you mention them, you will be screened for the next round. If you don't mention them, you'll be a straight reject. So reading the job description is important. You should know those keywords and say those. That will get through the screening round. Then a hiring manager round will be talking about more your experience. They won't ask questions and all that. They will ask more on what did you do in your past work, what projects did you work on, and maybe they will ask a very simple coding question kind of a thing. Then there will be a full loop where you will be grilled on different aspects of things. So like science depth versus science breadth. Depth will be more on uh, taking a particular thing for your resume. So let's say you worked on some project. They will drill down you on that particular project. What did you work on it? What tools did you use? Why did you do that? What was the scale of things going on? What's the data amount? And all that aspects. Science breadth will be more general. It will be related to the job description. So if the job description says that it's about Gen AI, they will ask you transformers architecture. They will ask you to talk about it. They will ask you to draw attention mechanism. They will ask you to tell them that how and why transformers are used rather than traditional neural networks. So there will be questions like that in the breadth. And then There will be behavioral questions where um, I will don't know what is right and wrong, so it's just more morality, and it depends a lot on the interviewer. And then finally, it will be a system design round, which will be one of the heavier rounds because most people crack all these rounds and they fail with the system design because they're not able to think on a visual and a global level. So then that's where your pipeline orchestration thing comes in and the practice makes a difference. So yeah, once you clear all these things, then also you have to wait for 4, 3, 5 months maybe. And if there is not a better candidate than you, who has maybe PhD and all that, then you get a chance to work. So that's a deeper, I would say, high level. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, we are almost at a time.
Yep.
We'll wrap up here. Huge thanks to Akhilesh and Pranjal for sharing their time, experience, and advices with us today. And thank you all for joining, asking questions, being engaged. So, on behalf of DaSSA, we really appreciate your participation. We hope this session gave you more clarity on DSML career paths, resume building, and GenAI skills companies are looking for. So have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you at future DASA events. So thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you.